Well, hey guys, so today we're going to be doing a simple effect wherein we take a shape and we morph it into a different shape. So essentially what we're going to be doing is taking a square and having it morph and like sort of spin around and morph into a circle, and then that circle will then sort of rotate insofar as we can see it, and it will morph into a triangle. So go to like Coolers or color.adobe.com and find yourself two colors that you like that kind of pop out from each other. So you can choose, like, say for instance, a dark turquoise and a light turquoise, or like a dark red and a light pink or something like that. Dark, sort of a darker gray, grayish, whatever. But so two colors that will pop out. Try to avoid this color here, like this fire engine red, or rather, I'm not sure, like if it's that's white or gray. Essentially, you want to avoid like fire engine red. So let's go here back to After Effects, and we're going to create a new solid. And I'll make it, say for instance, it's like maybe like make that turquoise color. Let me just see if I can copy that keyframe here. I'll make this dark turquoise color here. And as soon as that puts down, so once again, this is 30, obviously this is 1920 by 1080, and I just created the same old thing. This is about 10 seconds long. I'll probably trim it down later. Before I do anything else, I'm going to lock this so I don't accidentally resize it or move the anchor point around. And then we'll go back and we'll find a new color here. And what we'll do is we'll take our rectangle tool and we'll draw ourselves a little square, hold down shift. And we'll change the fill to the other color that we were looking for. So in this case, this is this one. Let's see, how's this other color look? So remember we talked about complementary colors where you have like, opposite the color wheel. So sort of blues opposite is, orange. Do that. Okay, like that. That's nice. So sort of orangish color will pop out very well against a sort of a greenish bluish color here. Okay, so we're gonna light up a couple of keyframes. But before we do anything else, let's go ahead and light up a couple keyframes here. So we're going to let's just go ahead and make our different shapes. First off, let me take my shape. Let me get my anchor point into the middle. Control Alt Home. Let me align this to the center. There with our align tool. Remember, if you can't find your align tool, it's under Window, Align, and you'll see your little align on the side here. And we'll also make a circle. So let's find an ellipse here. We'll make that same color as before. And we'll also Control Alt Home this guy and put him in the center as well. And then we'll make a new shape. We'll make a triangle shape here by getting our polygon tool, creating a pentagon. And we'll go down here to our sort of source area here, a little window where we have all of our contents. And we'll click on Polystar, find Polystar Path, and we'll find under Type Polygon. We'll have where it says 5 points, we'll have 3 points, and that'll change it to a triangle. And Control Alt Home to get the anchor point where it needs to be, and then back this up into the center here. Okay, so these are all shapes, and they are recognized as different kinds of shapes, and so they all have attributes that you can affect based on their shape. The Polystar Path has, obviously types and points and rotation and roundness, all this other stuff. So you can change it from like a star to a triangle to a pentagon or whatever, but it all has to be inside the same kind of like sort of parameters. It all has to be a polygon, and you can't just morph this into a circle. You can approximate a circle by making the radius of like the inner and outer corners wide enough, but it won't be quite the same. As far as the square goes, I mean, you only have so many things you can do with a square. You can make it wider, you can make it shorter, you can turn it into a rectangle. Same with an oval, a circle. You can make it into a longer ellipse or a fatter ellipse. Not a whole lot else you can do. But if we want to kind of combine these, we have to change the way Adobe thinks about them. We have to change them into, instead of a shape path, into a Bezier path. Remember, the Bezier pen is how we draw the different paths, and that's how we're going to kind of combine all this other stuff together. So let's go ahead and one by one we'll find under Contents, under the name of the shape, in this case Polystar Path. So one, right click where it says Polystar Path, and then say Convert to Bezier Path. And so now we have just two things to look at. We have path, and then we have a little path with the stopwatch next to it. All right, so the same thing goes for the circle. Find under Contents, Ellipse 1, find Ellipse Path, right click on it, Convert to Bezier Path. Pull it up. All right, find our contents in our rectangle, rectangle path, right click, convert to busy path. So they're all busy paths now. Nothing's changed in terms of the look of them, but Adobe After Effects recognizes them as something different. Okay, so let's start off with the square. So I'm going to go ahead and just make invisible both the circle and the triangle. The triangle and the circle are now invisible. And we're going to light up a couple of keyframes. So I'm going to kind of hide everything here, and I'm going to click on P for position and light up a keyframe there. I'll click on there, I'll press A for anchor point, and I'll click on a position there, and then I'm going to find my path. So let's find our path under Contents, Rectangle, Path, and we'll light up a keyframe there. All right, so let's just back this up, and we'll hit U on the keyboard for all of our pertinent anchor points. And I'm going to go forward, say, for instance, like a half a second. So in this case, it's like 15 frames here. I can see where I'm looking at right there. And I'm just going to light up another keyframe for all three of these attributes here. And then I'll go forward another half a second to where I see 1 second up there, and I'll pop these in there as well. Okay, so essentially what we want to do now is we want to get the information from the other paths and essentially copy them onto the path down here. And the way we do that is pretty simple. We just go up to the other shape we want. In this case, we're going to find the ellipse, right? And we'll click on where it says path. And where it says path here, we're just going to highlight over that, Control C. I'll collapse this, click over here, Control V. And it turns into a path. Now, this is why we lit up our anchor point and our position, because for whatever reason, it always pulls the anchor point somewhere off to left field. So I'm going to Control Alt Home to get the anchor point where it needs to be, and then I'll pull this together. So hopefully this will, all right, good. All right, so for whatever reason, the anchor point kind of drifts off there, but that's okay, so long as it turns. So we can just watch this like that. That's fun. Okay, and so once again, we're going to advance a few keyframes here, like half a second, and we'll just click these keyframes here just to make sure it sticks around. All right, and then we'll give it a second to breathe, and then we'll move forward another half second, about 2 seconds in, and we'll do the same thing we did before. We'll go over here to our polystar path, and we'll find the path. Click where the stopwatch is, Control C, and we'll come down here to our path, Control V, and we'll see if we can't get our anchor point where it needs to be. Control Alt, okay, maybe not. And we'll just center it here and there and see how that looks. All right, there to there. All right, so this might be enough for now. We'll say about 3 seconds in here. We'll give it another 15 frames. We might do something else to it. We'll light these keyframes up. And what we'll do now is we will take a look at this here. Okay. All right, fun. So what we'll do now is let's just go ahead and apply the easy ease to these keyframes here. Right click on them, keyframe assistant, easy ease. And we'll take a look at how this looks now. All right. Okay, so obviously if you wanted to add more shapes, you could do that as well, not necessary. But what we'll do now is we're going to apply another keyframe here. Let's click on the shape. Let's press R on the keyboard for rotation, and let's have it rotate a few times. So I'm going to come to the beginning here, and I'll just have it click on rotation here, and I'll just press U on the keyboard. And what we'll do is between each rotation, we'll have it rotate a couple of times. So you have two values here. We have 0, X, and then we have a little plus. And this right here is for all like the degrees between 0 and 360. So you have like 359 at the top value, and then it goes over to 1x. So I'm going to change this to maybe 2, from 0 to 2. And then we'll go forward a keyframe, add a new keyframe here, and then we'll go over another keyframe, and we'll go from 2 to 4. And we'll go forward again. Wait, no, wrong. What's happening here? Oh, I messed up. All right, let's back this up. Actually, let's go to this keyframe here. We'll make this stay 0, and then we'll go forward a keyframe, and we'll make this 2, and then we'll keep this 2, and then we'll make this one 4. So it'll turn 2 times, and we'll keep this the way it is. All right, so All right, so that might have been a bit too much. Maybe we could make the space between these a bit bigger. We could probably like, well, first off, let's apply the easy ease to this. Keyframe assistant, easy ease. So we have, all right. Let's change the space between these from like a half a second to like 1 second. So we'll have this here occur right about the, let's go to 115. We'll pull this to 115, 1 second and 15 seconds. We'll pull this to about 2. Is that right? Okay, good. Wait, no, we want to keep, I'll keep this about half a second. I'll keep the space where the shape stays the same to about half a second. But then here, I'll make this 1 second between the two. So let's see how that looks. That's good. That's fun. Okay. One thing I will notice about this, with the way the triangle is sort of centered, looks a little different, and the way the circle is centered, it almost looks like it's sort of spinning on, like it's, you know, more towards the tip rather than on the center itself. But that's okay for now. Okay. Well, let's do one last little thing here. Let's add our name, and what we'll do first is I'll go ahead and put like a scale keyframe on here. And I'll press U on the keyboard to get all of our keyframes back. So we've got our scale here. Make sure that's on the right keyframe there. All right, good. And for about a second, it'll spin. So this is 415. And then it'll get smaller. So we'll rotate it again. We'll rotate it to 6. And then we'll, on our scale, reduce it to about 50%. See how that looks. Once again, I'll put the easies on here. Okay. I wonder if the anchor point would do well. So we'll have the anchor point here. Can I move the anchor point down a bit to what looks more like the center? Let's see, the anchor point tool here. I just sort of drag this anchor point down to the, oh, hello. Huh. Wow. Well, I'll tell you what. I tell you what, we'll just leave it the way it was. All right, so once again, we'll scale it down to about 50%. And then we'll add our name. We'll put our name about, we'll add a couple keyframes here for everything as far as position goes, or scale goes. Just rotation. We'll have rotation here. And then for about a second, it'll spin, and then it'll disappear completely as far as that goes here. So we'll put in 1 for scale. We'll put another 1 for scale. And 1 for rotation. We'll rotate it to 8. And then the scale will be 0. So it'll totally disappear. And then we'll put in our name. Have it sort of show up here. We'll have it show up here. We'll have it totally visible here. So make sure we're all on top of that keyframe there. I'll just put my name here, Mr. Lobello. Make this a bit smaller. Say, I'll just put my last name, no Mr. Hello. We'll center that. And then we'll change the color to what this was before. So I want to say it was this color here. All right. And then for this, we'll apply both scale and rotation. And we'll have the rotation. Oops, let me go back here. We'll have them all start here where the triangle begins to disappear, and we'll start those in here. So we'll have the scale be 0, and maybe the rotation will be like -2 right here. So let's take a look at this. There you go, that's good. All right, so okay, so there we go. So let's take a look at this last thing. We'll actually apply the easy ease to this as well. So always makes it look nicer. Easy ease. Okay, so let's take a look. Triangle. Okay, good stuff. All right, so play with it. See if you want to add some more shapes. We'll cut it down to say 7 seconds or so, and then we'll move on to the next one. All right. Well, very good. Can't wait to see you guys produce. Pick some colors, put your name on it, export it as a video, and then convert it to a GIF. All right. See you in class.